Well, here's a car that's had a lot of hype over the last couple of years. It came out last year in North America, the 2017 Civic Type R. This is the 18 model, no change, still has all of the horsepower and the go fast bits on the outside that you either love or you don't. There have already been 2 reviews on the channel. I encourage you to go back and watch them. One by Brian Chow. He went to the launch at Mont Tremblant of the racetrack when this car was officially launched in North America. I wasn't able to go to that one. And also Mike Gurr in Toronto had a chance to drive it. So this is my first chance. I kind of waited because we'd already had reviews out, but everybody said you should give it a shot because it's that good. So what I'm going to do is walk around it, talk about it, and really what I'm here today to tell you about is, can you live with it every single day? Of course, it has the track record of the Nurburgring for a front-wheel drive car. That's all the showbiz. The reality is most people are going to use this every single day, and that's what I'm here to find out. So let's have a look around. All right, I tell you what we'll do. We'll start at the front and then we'll get to the controversial bit. That's at the back. And I got to tell you, I think this is a nice looking car. It's available in white, black, or red, and that's it. And you get the black wheels. Now, at the front, you get standard LED headlamps, which is nice, and the black chrome. One of the issues with the modern Civic is this: the cheese grater look at the bottom of the front and rear spoiler or bumper, and it gives you, I don't know, it doesn't do anything. That's, I think, the biggest problem. It does make the car look more grounded. If it didn't have that, those bumpers would just be big white masses. So that's why that's done, to anchor the car. Now, all of this air intakes there and there, they're all active, either for ground effects or to cool the brakes. And when you come around the side, you get 20-inch Continental tires. These are Sport Contact 6. And what is the size again? They're 245, 30, 20. So big tires, gloss black, and big, beautiful Brembo brakes. Now here's the vent to help let the air exit. I was recently at a Porsche event and they showed the most turbulence for aerodynamics is actually right here inside the top of the wheel. And if you can get the air out this way and release some of that pressure, it really helps with aerodynamics and to make the car a little bit faster. I want to show you one thing. So this car is brand new. It's a 2018. It has 2,000 kilometers on it. So I'm not sure what journalist had it before, but look at those curved wheels. That's just tragic. Like, look at that. It's just really sad the way some people treat these cars. Now, here we are. We're getting to the back of the car and the controversial part of it. And it's the huge spoiler, okay? Now, I understand you want to have aerodynamic effect, and this car did go around the Nurburgring, the fastest lap time for a front-wheel drive car, and it has to be production car. So in order to make that lap time, they needed the downforce in the back, and that's why if you want to do a lap time like that, you have to sell the car the way it went around the racetrack. So that's why it has all of this aero. It's got fins. You can even see here, all the way across the top. But I wish that they had, for example, like a lock system here that you could just quickly release this very big spoiler and leave it in your garage. And then you could drive around looking more like that instead of like that. Now, I recently went on a Porsche program in Europe where I had a chance to drive the 911 GT3, but the Touring package. And that really was impressive because it gave you, you know, all of the horsepower and basically everything except for the big wing. So I think that that would be something that somebody who's maybe interested in driving this but doesn't want to drive around with that, in my opinion, ridiculous looking wing would be an option. All right, back to the cheese graters. You see it back here. Here's another one on either side. They don't do anything. What I do like, however, is when you look at it straight on from the back side, you see the way it's anchored on either side, and then you get the fins for aerodynamic effect and the beautiful tri-exhaust tips. So that is pretty good. Now this is based on the hatchback version. And one of the things is, it's a very practical car. So this is a really quite big and useful cargo area. And here's a neat thing. So the tonneau cover doesn't go this way, it comes this way. Okay, that's your privacy screen. And if you want, you can take that cartridge and put it on the other side, or just get rid of it altogether. It's very useful, and of course those seats go down as well. So the actual car to live with every single day, it's very, very practical. It's a nice size. Here, I'll show you the curved wheels on the other side. The back isn't as bad, but there's one there. There's a nick there. And on that side, you see it as well. I mean, the car's new. Anyway, that's the outside. As I said, once you drive it, this grows on you because the car is just that good. Let's have a look inside. Okay. So what you have are beautifully bolstered sports seats. So you get the red and the black, you get Type R in there, you get the cutouts. Just so you know, there is no sunroof, and you can see manual only. Now that sort of golf ball style shifter is metal, and I picked this car up on a real hot day, and I put my hand on it, and it was very, very hot. Now the opposite, I had a Carrera that had a metal shifter like that, and the opposite is true. On a cold day, it's freezing cold. So just be aware of that. And then you can see here, each one is given a plate with its, the registration number. In behind that, there is a wireless charging pad, which I absolutely love. I'm addicted to that. And above that is the 7-inch display audio system that's the same across the entire Honda Civic family. Same thing, no volume knob. Then you get the two-tone red leather steering wheel, a gauge package behind that. It has a lot more information about the engine, the boosts, all of those sorts of things that you want from a performance vehicle. So the seats, I would give a 10 out of 10. These are fantastic. They're heavily bolstered. So if you're a husky fit, try it out and see for yourself if it's actually going to work for you. Now, one thing is, so this looks good, right? You get those beautifully bolstered seats. Now you go to the back, and that is, there's nothing. Like, they couldn't put red inserts in the middle. They couldn't mirror the front seats. They have all of that in the front with the red, nothing here except for the seat belts. They could have at least mirrored the material. And you notice right away, there is no fifth seat in the middle. Now, the one thing I should say, I forgot to mention, with the head unit, you get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on every Honda product. So that's a quick look at the inside. It's still a Honda Civic. It still has to be, attainable for the vast majority of people, and I think that they have done a nice job on this car. I really have no complaints other than the color code in the back seat of what they've done with this car. All right, let's go for a drive. Before we get going, there's one thing I really don't like: electronic parking brake. Like, for this high performance model with a manual transmission, couldn't they put in a regular handbrake? I really miss that, and it's not intuitive. I don't like electric parking brakes. I prefer having a regular handbrake. All right, so what do we have at work here? Well, we have a 2-liter 16-valve VTEC engine with a turbocharged system on it to produce 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, you've got a high horsepower engine, a relatively high horsepower engine, and then you have a good amount of torque only going to the front wheels. So you have a limited slip front differential, and you have a different suspension geometry to help get that power down. So what is it like to live with every single day? So I'm driving in the city. I tell you what, I'm gonna let this guy behind me pass, and then I'll do an acceleration. So just above idle, you can get up to 2,000 RPM really quickly, just above idle, and the boost comes on really strongly at about 2,700 RPM, to the point that when you put your foot into it in first or second gear, the traction control light is coming on. It's amazing to me that all of the new technology that's available for car manufacturers to use makes them better for a vast majority of people. So if you like the fact that you want a higher horsepower Civic, but you don't need to race around all the time, you have a turbocharged engine that produces enough torque at low speeds to make it livable. You have the high horsepower for when you want to go for it. And then also you have an adaptive suspension, the standard equipment on this car. Oh, by the way, I'm on a hill and the brake holds, so that's where the electronic brake comes in handy. Holds it while you get going. Somebody actually emailed me a couple of questions. First of all, they were thinking of getting not this Civic, but another Civic, and they wondered, they hadn't driven a manual in a while, if I figured that the brake hold system was good enough on a steep hill, and absolutely, there's no problem with that. Somebody also asked, what is the easiest car to learn manual on? That was on one of my live chats I do, by the way, every Sunday. Somebody typed in and said, what is the easiest car to learn manual on? And I would suggest to anybody, a Honda Civic is the best, and you don't need to even go for a base model. This would be really easy to learn on. The transmission is velvety smooth, you've got the short throws, it's not on and off. Like some transmissions and clutches, the pressure point is so precise that you can stall it. A perfect example of that is the new Cayman and Boxster with the turbo 4-cylinder engine in the S model. Actually, both of them are turbocharged. Sometimes you can stall it. It's that sort of on and off. This one, absolutely no problem. So what we're going to do now is head out on the highway, and that's where you can have a little bit more fun. The red line on this car, by the way, is 7,000 RPM. So I'm at 5,000 RPM now, just under the speed limit, and you just can wind it all the way out to 7,000 RPM, and it doesn't ever sort of run out of breath. Some turbocharged engines kind of run out of breath at higher RPM. This one is not the case. So here we go, get a little free space. There's 7,000 RPM, just hit the rev limiter a bit, and you can get away from people in a hurry in this car. So that's what makes it fun. And the steering is great. On the highway, this thing just feels stuck down on the road. It really is a wonderful car. I'm enjoying all the time I've had with it. I really don't have any criticism of the way it drives at all. So the mid-range and high-speed acceleration really is great. So could you live with this car every single day? Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, as I mentioned, I'd like to have it without the big wing on the back, but yeah, I would love to have this. Put it this way, if I was 25 again and I'm not, this would be a car that I would really lust after. But even then, when I was that age, I wouldn't have liked the big wing on the back. So in the Canadian market, this car starts at $41,000. There's really only one option package you can get for about $860. That's the illumination package, the door sills and a few things on the inside. Would you get that? I don't really think it's worth it. But that car is amazing to drive every single day, and it's worth every penny of that $41,000. To me, I kept on thinking, what does this drive like? What is it like? It feels so much more expensive than the car actually is. It just does everything absolutely effortlessly. It's the best Civic that they have ever made. I'd love for them to do what Porsche has done with the GT3, make it available with the touring package without the big wing on the back for people who are a little bit older, who like to drive but don't want to look like they're trying too hard all the time. That is a magnificent car. Well done, Honda.